Welcome. You are at the CCC.
Where there are no outside issues. I'm Anthony, a 7th-year doctoral student in clinical psych, an addict and an alcoholic, another bozo on the bus, and I care about you.
Yes, and I'm LouiLou, or LouiLou, however you want to call me. My pronouns are he and him. I am a former Miss Castro Country Club. I am in recovery for crystal meth and alcohol, and I am always in search of balance.
Balance.
And each week we will provide and create brave space where we can engage in conversations around topics of recovery.
Our intention is to hold and inspire better spaces for more people in recovery by tackling issues sometimes used to baffle us.
Absolutely. And before we do that, please make sure to like, share, comment on this episode, and ding that bell.
Ding, 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 ding.
Absolutely, yeah.
I don't know if you noticed, but I said sometimes used to baffle us instead of separate us.
Huh? You said baffle us?
Baffle us, yeah.
Well, you know what? Baffle, separate.
Cunning,
works.
baffling, powerful. That's where I got that. But you know what? Before we go on, I think we have a disclaimer we have to read.
Yes.
All right. The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed on at the CCC are ours alone. We do not represent anyone but ourselves. The material and information shared here is for general information purposes only. In other words, we are just a couple of friends behind a mic having a kiki here to entertain you.
Let's have a kiki.
Let's have a kiki. How are you?
I'm good. It's like we weren't here last week.
We certainly weren't. And why weren't we here last week, Louis?
Because we were in Hawaii, Honolulu, Oahu.
Shout out to all of our friends over in Honolulu at the Aloha Roundup.
Absolutely.
Thank you for such a beautiful time, very hospitable group of sober people.
Yeah. And that was my first time, so it was really wonderful.
It was really wonderful. Yeah. I think this year was their strongest show of people, maybe like a little over 400 people attendees or something like that.
That's amazing. I mean, come on now. You got the backdrop of the island. That's enough to get people there.
It was enough to get.
And you know, something that was really amazing. I actually roomed with 4 other adults. Meaning there was no drama. We had Airbnb. Normally, when you travel with people, you can always expect that there's going to be some friction, and there was no friction. And if there was, I wasn't involved.
Yeah, I don't know why I said little. There was literally no friction. One of our roomies is actually in the room today. Steven.
Hey, Steven.
We'll wave at Steven and Steven's friend. What's your friend's name again? Can we say your name on air? No? Okay, Scott, yeah. We have Steven and Scott in the studio keeping us
say his name. It's not like you said his last name.
Yeah.
And
what's your last name?
Address.
Yeah.
It's like his last name and address.
Yeah.
And like, this is where you can find Scott. You know?
So how was Hawaii for you?
Hawaii was great. Okay, so I really feel like I made the most out of it. I got the thing that I marvel at is I've never been to 2 beaches in one day. I did that. I actually took my shirt off and got in the water. We were joking about this.
Yeah,
before,
we were joking about this.
But it's I'm all. I joked before I went. I said they're gonna try to roll me back in the water.
Real talk. I was telling Louis while we were on off air that I have never been more hyper aware of my body.
Same here.
And this is not to make light body dysmorphic issues, because I certainly have them. I think most gay men have them. But I have never seen so many toned and hard bodies in my life on one beach.
Absolutely.
I was like, they're going to kick me off this beach. And it felt like a requirement.
The thing that's interesting, it's they were all really warm and friendly, and it wasn't about oh God, you don't fit in here. It was about hi, aloha, what's that other one? Malekiliki maka.
I know. Or mahalo's goodbye, right?
Is it good?
I don't know.
I thought it was.
I know Ohana from Lilo and Stitch.
Okay.
All right. So what's today's topic?
Today's topic is drum roll. It's the only thing that you have to change is everything.
Everything.
Did you ever did you hear that in the beginning?
No.
Okay, so I heard that a lot in the beginning. I don't hear it as often.
When you say beginning, what do you mean?
When you when I was very first exposed to recovery.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, but I heard that in the beginning and I didn't get it because I think, we all come in. I'll speak for myself. I came in, I was super defiant. I came in defiant, and to have somebody tell me I can't do this and I can't do that and I can't do this, that was a lot.
That was a lot.
That was a lot, and it's I'm all thinking, seriously, what did I sign up for?
Yeah, can I tell you? I think the first time I actually heard that phrase, "Everything you have to change is every." Wait.
The only thing you have to
change is everything. I think the first time I heard that was last year.
Okay.
Okay. I also, can I tell, what?
No.
What were you going to say? I think the other thing, and when I heard it, I cringed because I was like, oh, here goes another one of those things that whack ass people say that's not in like any recovery literature, etc. For people who might be chiming in who are not familiar with 12-step or recovery, so this idea of the only thing you have to change is everything, honestly, I don't know where it came from. But I think the spirit behind the phrase is that basically everything that you were doing before you got sober needs to change, right? And not necessarily like impractical things, kind of like how you wash your clothes, but maybe the way I see that is like your perspective or your view of the world. How do
Absolutely. Well, the way that I boil it down when I'm talking to sponsors,
you boil it down?
I boil it down because you got to boil it down. No, I talk about it like this. When we talk about the only thing you have to change is just what you said, your perspective, how you view things. It's not like you have to let go of physical things or whatever. You change how you view it. And the way that I relate that is before I came in the rooms, it's like I used to put more importance on physical things, more importance on the things that I had. And it wasn't until I didn't really have anything that I started to appreciate that those things aren't as important as these things, as our connection.
Yeah, our friends.
And so that was for me what when I had to change it, I had to change how I view the world right now because the way I've been viewing it wasn't working for me.
I've been, since Hawaii, I've been having maybe it's not a hard time thinking about recovery, but maybe I've just kind of been in this like spiritual headspace where everything feels so abstract to me. You know what I mean? Like I've been thinking a lot about like, what does it mean to be a sober person? And like, now I have a few years under my belt and like, cause we talk about 12-step being a spiritual program. And I'm like, man, what does that mean? And so recently a lot of it for me is, especially in the, like talking about everything, the only thing you have to change is everything. I'm like, wow, like right now I'm like acutely aware of my like impulsive reactions to things, like, okay, for example, so I work in an environment where I need a lot of patience, right? And, just today I noticed myself like losing patience and I started to like feel this thing boil up and I'm like, what's that about? Like where did this rush, come from? And then it made me think about like, the only thing you have to change is everything. And to me, it's like this fundamental thing, which is like, okay, my view of what it means to have whatever patience, or I don't know. I think there was probably like an underlying idea there. And maybe the underlying idea was, I don't know, my time is being wasted, or, you need to move faster. But like, what's the answer? The question to that is like, why does this person need to move faster?
Well, I think the challenge is in saying in this statement, obviously the statement is going to affect you in some way, but I really think what it boils down is that the only thing it's all about having a spiritual or psychic change. That's it.
What do you mean when you say that?
When I say this is like, I'm doing this work so that I can have those spiritual moments where I see, aha, when I have those aha moments. Some people call them aha moments or whatever. It's just a matter of like, okay, I am trying to get to a place. The purpose for my recovery is trying to get to a place where I show up for me and for the rest of the world in a different way, that I realize that I'm a part of this. Like, I'm essential. I'm not the most important being in the universe, but I am essential. And when I clear away the wreckage, as we say, when I clean a house,
the wreckage of your past,
exactly, or the wreckage of my present, the wreckage of whatever, then I get to start thinking about like my relationship to higher power, my relationship to other people. And I think that's what it comes down to. It's like, I wasn't doing those things before.
Yeah. When someone says, because I'm defining this for myself, right? Like when someone says it's a spiritual program or I am spiritual, what does that mean?
For me, I've always believed that I'm a spiritual being. I believe that like.
And what does that mean?
Okay,
what do you mean?
So I don't know if those of you listening believe in so-called God. In religion, they say it's like we are made in our Creator's image or whatever. I go deeper. Of course, we're made in our Creator's image, but it's not this flesh that it is. Mm-hmm. It's our spirit. Mm-hmm. It's our spirit. It's our. Do you want me to eat the mic?
I need you to be closer to the mic. I need people at home to know. Listen, if you ever are listening to us just online, or on Spotify, and it sounds really low when Louis talks, it's because Louis cannot take instruction really well, because we've been doing this for well over a year, and still,
wow.
what do you do?
Okay, so I didn't think that I was going to get reprimanded live on air, but you know what? Okay, I am going to take instruction today. But where are we at?
We're about a spiritual program. We have a comment that just came in, Brandon. Jaylon!
Oh my
Jaylon
God.
writes,
Go ahead.
Great topic, because this afternoon, I'm doing the disclaimer voice. Great topic, because this afternoon the topic was on relationships, and someone mentioned this topic. It's situational, I believe, because my Eskimo is my best friend, and after a couple of months of being in recovery, he started relapsing, and I could not turn off our 15, almost 16-year friendship and abandon him at his lowest. So there are a couple things here. I feel like thank you, Jaylon. Couple things we need to.
Thank you.
Yeah, always amazing. Always good to hear you. A couple things for folks who may not be familiar with some of these terms. Eskimo. An Eskimo is someone who brings you into the program, or someone who brings you in from outside of the cold.
Absolutely.
And what was the other thing in there? Mentioned situational, best friend, couple, recovery, started relapsing. Okay, I think that was it.
Yeah, no, but I can appreciate the last piece of that. I could not turn off our 15, almost 16-year friendship and abandon him at his lowest. And I don't think anyone, I really don't think anyone's suggesting that you do that. But I think that one of the things that we have to do for ourselves, especially in early recovery, is I have to make some decisions sometimes that don't sit well with other people. I have to do what I can, because I can't save you if I don't have the tools to save you. I really don't have, that's what we learned. It's like, they get to figure out for himself. I believe I figured that Jaylon, you probably figured it out because you're thriving. I saw your name on the board. She's coming up on an anniversary.
There's a board at the Castro Country Club where people can write their soberversaries.
My name's on there this month too. I just celebrated my 14th year of sobriety.
Congratulations.
Yeah.
Congratulations. Hey, I want to go back to this idea of spirituality and everything you have to change. What were you going to say?
No.
Well, because it what?
No, did we?
Do what? Oh, speak to Jaylon's thing?
Yeah.
I thought you did.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. What I was just thinking. Okay, so I want to define spirituality as it relates to like this idea of everything I have to change. So I grew up Catholic, right? Puerto Rican Catholic, if that, like Latin American Catholic, which is pretty intense, right? Uh-huh. Until spirituality was defined for me, right? It was defined during Catholic Mass. It was this guy in the sky who was jealous and vengeful, right? And I thought that spirituality for me meant my relationship to this thing that I didn't know I had a relationship with. And so I struggled with this idea of God, right? So I think when it comes to changing everything for me and talking about my perspective, often what it means now is like I'm questioning where my decisions come from when I make a decision, right? So if I'm angry or if I'm losing my patience, what is that thing that I'm turning to make a decision? And for me, what it's been is like, I've had to just kind of discover this like quiet place within myself, right? And sometimes, I've heard that called intuition, this thing that I can cultivate through meditation. Sometimes it's, I'm looking at the world around me and modeling the behavior of people that I admire. Today, for example, I came across this, there's this channel I like, it's called the School of Life on YouTube. It's great. And they print out these articles, and one of them was like, the phrase, "What would Jesus do?" And they were talking about what's the spirit behind this idea, and that it's a principle that we can apply to our lives. Right? Like, say, if you struggle with this idea, it could be like, what would someone who's loving and compassionate and patient do in this moment, right? And that's been the thing that I've had to change. And that feels like it is everything, right? Because it's literally how I interact with the world. It's how I interact with myself, etc. What are you Googling over there?
No, okay. So we were looking for a definition for spiritual, and I was coming to the place where before I got sober, I had this guy that I considered my spiritual whatever. And we talked about the difference between like being religious and being spiritual. And spiritual is relying on or relating to anything that has to do with spirit. It means tapping into what's already in, and the religious part was looking outside for the answers as opposed. But then I looked up the definition of spiritual in the Webster's Merriam.
What do you define?
Relating to or affecting the human spirit or soul as opposed to material or physical things, and relating to religious or religious beliefs. So I like the first one, relating to or affecting the human spirit.
Yeah. You know what it feels like right now? So we started off, today's topic is the only thing you have to change is everything. If you're listening at home and you have an idea or something that you want to share with us, as always, we'd love to hear your comments. Yeah, there's that. And the second thing is that I'm noticing that as we're talking about this, we're returning to spirituality. And I'm wondering, do we just kind of go with the flow, or do we try to like force our way back to the topic?
I think what I really appreciate about you is like you definitely keep us on track. I think that we do both, because like, so while you were kind of saying that, I was thinking a great thing to talk about, especially for folks who are early recovery, is how we start the process. And how we start the process. And even if it's not 12-step you do, there's always some, like, obviously the first thing we need to do to change is like, if drinking or drugs is our problem, we stop that. We stop hanging around the places and people that were making it easier for us to have access to those things. And, you know, we change everything. So it's like it's almost like everything that I had been doing before that didn't work, I let go of because they no longer serve me.
So what I've heard people say is we quit things in the order that they're killing us.
Yeah.
Right. So it's like when I was drinking and using, what was killing me was drugs and alcohol. Right. And then I got sober. And then what was killing me was like my attitude. You know, it was like my volatile like way of being in relationship. And so then I had to start addressing that, you know? And now as like I get more time, I'm noticing that now like cunning, baffling, powerful, that like my addiction and stuff is like it shows up in food, shows up in how I spend money, and like these really subtle ways that are really easy to keep secret. But yeah, going back to you.
I always say like in the beginning, it was really obvious, like the obstacles that we were facing, they were just so in our face or whatever. And I think what's insidious about this disease is that after a while, it becomes the things that we have to address are subtle. And it, you know, some people say it's like, this is a disease that makes me want to forget, but it's not, it's not that I'm forgetting. I'm not aware, I'm not aware because they say more will be revealed when the time comes. And I'm doing the work right now, I believe, so that I can be ready for the things that are coming my way. And we have a comment.
Let's see this comment. Terry, I don't even know if we should read this, given what you said the last time we were on here, Terry.
That's okay, Terry. We love you. And I think I've forgotten. I was so spiritual.
I can hold a grudge.
Hawaii.
The last time Terry sent us a comment, Terry made it very clear that he was not interested in speaking to Louis or myself, but in Bonnie Violet. But Terry writes, wait, put the comment. Sometimes I relapse without relapsing. Terry, I'd like to know more about what you mean by that. I have my own interpretation of what that means.
Same here.
Yeah. So what that makes me, thank you for your comment, Terry. We love you. All jokes aside. What that makes me think of is, emotional relapse, like my emotional recovery, going back, but before I even speak on that, I was just thinking, I keep I keep having this image in my head when I think about like the only thing I have to change is everything, is that back to this idea of perspective. And it isn't that like the only thing I have to change is everything. Gosh, for whatever reason, the more I repeat it to myself, it feels philosophical. I'll come back to that in a second. But to Terry's thing, relapse in behavior without picking up. Absolutely. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. I mean, so speaking to this, like one of the things I was talking to my sponsor this week and she was telling me, she's like, if you see all these people with all this time and it's like, what are they doing? They're so mean and they're so grouchy. Like, did you really come into the program to be a bitch to everyone? And if so, like, you should probably just have a drink.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, I can relate to this. Definitely relapsing like emotionally. etc. What were we going to say, Louis?
I wasn't. I was just commenting. I'm in church. I was like,
Hallelujah. Hallelujah. We have another comment that came in. Jalen.
Part 2. I had to learn how to protect my sobriety and set painful yet healthy boundaries. Watching his relapses was the epitome of powerlessness and helplessness. Even his sponsor told me to stop talking to him because my disease will talk to his disease. I agree. Ooh. The blessing is because of my consistency. I've been here every time he's gotten back. Yes.
That's really
well. I think what's interesting is like, okay, so and thank you, Jaylon, for your comment. With my sponsees or folks that I've worked with, like specifically when we're talking about like sexual behavior or whatever, sometimes they don't understand, like taking a pause or a break from something does not mean it's the end. What's happening is like you're taking a break from something, you're addressing it, you're doing the work so that it no longer has that kind of hold on you. And I think that, that was a little sidebar, but I really appreciate that, Jaylon.
I do too. So I was just, what do you want to say, Louis?
I don't want to say anything.
Louis was making a face at me.
Okay, I was not making a face. This is my face.
I'm sorry.
No, exactly.
Okay. So the only thing you have to change is everything.
Absolutely.
I think everything changes.
Oh, yeah.
I don't have to, everything changes by virtue of my, working on myself. And this case would be
is it everything or is it you?
It's me, right? And if I'm working on me, everything's going to change, right? And when I notice myself going back to old behaviors, again, if you're chiming in and not chiming in, if you're listening in and you're not familiar with,
if you're chiming in
I don't know. I've said that a few times.
That's okay.
But if you're listening and you're not familiar with 12-step, I want to break this down for you, or I'll break it down for myself. So
break it down.
So when I was thinking about, when I was first kind of struggling with drugs and alcohol, I didn't realize I was struggling with drugs and alcohol, right? That wasn't the thing. I thought it's everything else. You know what I mean? It's this is just what I do to party. This is what I do to have fun, right? And then I tried to stop. And when I would return to it, I'm like, oh shit, I don't think I can stop. But then I would reason with myself, well, actually, I can go this week without drinking. You know what I mean? But then I would come back. Mm-hmm. All right. And so when I started to work on my recovery, I was realizing actually I have all of these reasons why I keep coming back to drinking and using, right?
Yeah.
And as I start working on my by program, I mean as I'm working on myself, I'm realizing, oh shit, the world around me is changing, right? Because, for example, one of the things it was really hard for me to get, I had a lot of resentment toward my family, right? My dad was in and out of prison. I was adopted. There was just all this, there was a lot of drugs and violence and stuff. And I was so resentful. And I thought I had every reason in the world to be resentful, right? And then I realized, well, actually, this is by doing the work, and meeting with my sponsor and going to meeting. I'm like, actually, this is doing me a lot of harm, right?
Yeah.
And when I realized that, suddenly, literally, I didn't have to address every relationship I had with people. All of my relationships changed. They remained the same, but I'm the one who changed, right? Did we have another comment that just came in? Oh, okay. I saw Louis look over.
No. I put my cup away because I realized I was making a mess. Another way, I was looking at. Okay, so we try to, as a sponsor in the 12-step program, I try to prepare my sponsees for things that are coming, and when you do the work, even if you do the bare minimum, then the only thing that you can expect is change. Right. Change is inevitable. It's gonna happen. It's gonna happen whether or not when people say, I got a little bit of AA and now I go out and I can't get high the same way.
Right.
Yeah, it's gonna mess things up for you.
Yeah. You know one of the things I really appreciate that I've heard from people in recovery is that basically what you just said is you get a little AA in your head and then, it's messed up drinking and using for you because it's always in your head. Right.
Absolutely.
I appreciate that. I think, oh man, I forgot what I was going to say, but it was like related to going, what was it? Oh, just come back to me. I totally forgot.
It'll totally come back.
It'll come back.
We have the perfect.
Terry says, I had to change people, places, and things because they kept chasing me around. To change people, places, and things. Did you have to change those things? Like, what do you mean, Terry?
Well,
follow-up question.
I think, you know what's interesting? Okay, yeah, I had to stop going and doing the same things I was doing. But I also joke, or I just say it's like, I believe that when I was in that, I was vibrating at the frequency that they were vibrating at. And as soon as I got away from that or whatever, all of a sudden my vibration started to change. And some of the people that I knew from before did not know me. They couldn't see me. It's like, one last story I'll tell. I was one of those like, oh God, I don't want to turn my back on my friends just because I'm not drinking anymore. And I did a lot of my dirt here in the Castro. And at the time, there were a lot of these bars and everything. And one of the places I would go to was a bar in Castro. And my really good friend, he was always there because our thing was to pop in there after work and what have you. So I would still go in there. And I would go in there and I thought I was being progressively alcoholic by buying them shots and whatever. And it wasn't until a situation where we were all hanging out and it was the 4th of July. I was house sitting right here in the Castro. People were drinking, smoking pot, and I didn't think that was an issue or whatever. But then I go into the bathroom and there was a big bag of crystal meth on the ground, and I'm like thinking, check please. And so in that moment, God said, I got out. I left, and there were folks there that I could trust to leave there because they were mutual friends. And I realized that, you know what, it's not for me to change people around me. I don't need to. I just need to decide for myself what is going to be safe for me, what's going to work for me. And I think that, like, we come to that when we come to that. Like, as much as it might sound, if I say to you, the only thing you have to change is everything, I'm not saying you have to do that today. It's not going to happen. I wish for you a long and slow recovery. I want it to be painful too, so you don't want to repeat it.
Yeah. So I have a question for you, but the thing that keeps coming up for me is like, I don't think, spiritually speaking, like, I don't think that we change anything, right? I don't think, okay, so if I'm thinking about the 12 step, like
we change things outside of us or things
well, what I'm saying is like, I don't change the world, right? The world's unmanageable, right? So what I'm thinking of is like everything around me changes, but it isn't because I am doing anything. Like we can, of course, like practically speaking, I'm doing my 4th step, right? So I'm looking at my past and I'm like correcting my errors. I'm going to therapy. I'm like seeking the counsel of like my therapist or my sponsor, right? Like, sure, those are practical things that I'm doing, right? Uh-huh. But in my experience, I am not changing anything, right? Like maybe I'm living my life differently, but the world around me is changing, but I'm not changing anything. And the reason why I'm saying that is because I'm going to say the G word. It's because I think like God is at work in those situations, God right? Definitely which is also like something that I had to come around on when it comes to recovery, is this like idea of like, what is this thing that I'm calling God? So I have a question for you.
Shoot.
Okay. So can you name like one experience when something where like there was this kind of like shift inside of you, either you felt the shift or you thought the shift and you're like, holy shit, things are changing. Can you remember like that very first experience?
Well, I remember having an experience like that before I came into the rooms, because I think that God was working on me before. Okay. I really feel like this has been a lifetime process. Okay. So I was staying in the T. It was in the Tender Knob, actually. It was like right on the corner of the.
So you were fancy too.
I was fancy, yeah. But I was working at this one like hotel. I was staying there for a room and board, and I was working it was for seniors, and I was working in their kitchen as a waiter. But one of the days I came in, I was a complete mess. And I think I may have told you a story, but one of the guys was waiting. He was a complete wreck. He was sweating and whatever. And I ordered a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and he brought it back, and it was like he made it with his foot. Like it was a mess. It just did not look right.
With his one foot.
And I was upset, and I was talking to my friend who's a really good friend of mine, and I'm all, this is stupid. This is like, whatever. This doesn't make any sense. And my friend was not responding or reacting the way I wanted him to. And it bugged the hell out of me. And for a while, I was upset. And I don't know exactly when the shift was, but I realized that just because I'm passionate about something doesn't mean that someone else has to be as passionate. And if they're not as passionate, doesn't mean that they don't care about me. It just, I don't get to dictate how somebody feels about a situation, because I obviously was making a big stink about it. But I've had so many of those like coming in, but that one stands out for me just because. Yeah, when I think of this story, I think it strengthened my relationship with this individual, and it really kind of got me ready for like the future. I didn't even know I was in pre-preparation,
Yeah, I'm thinking of my own question.
Yeah, I was going to comment.
Go ahead.
Like
what is
you
it?
had said like you didn't, because God's at work or whatever, you didn't think that you were changing anything or whatever. The actions that I'm taking, the repetitive behavior that I'm experiencing here, I believe that I am the catalyst in this change because of my relationship with my higher power. I think that everything around me is still the same. Now, obviously, it's changing, but it's supposed to. But it's one of those things I always say. It's like, I am learning to live life on life's term. Life just happens. It's not about me.
Okay.
I view life differently because of the work that I've done. Like, I don't see everything as a big deal in the same way that I used to. I don't see everything as, like, they always say, with the alcoholics and addicts, you can't tell the difference between them. They don't know the difference between a bad day or
the end of the world, yeah.
And really that's because I've changed me and how I see things. It's almost as if I put on a different pair of glasses and I can see the world the way it really is, as opposed to the way I dreamt it was, or the way I
hear that. We have a comment that just came in.
Hey.
I had to do the work, make the changes. It didn't just happen because I quit. Very nice. The club was good for making changes. And by plug, he means the Castro Country Club.
Absolutely.
So go ahead.
If you're listening, and we're reading, because you can also see us live, but it's like we're reading the comments.
Oh, we're reading the comments that are coming in. So I recently started reading a few books on discipline. And the reason why I started to read a few books on discipline is because one of the things I'm like hyper aware of is that, like, growing up, I wasn't necessarily taught discipline, right? There weren't necessarily the healthiest dynamics at home. And I internalized a lot of like messages that weren't very helpful for me, right? And so there are a couple things that I've had to learn how to change, or things that I'm like teaching myself how to change. So for example, one of the things that I do is, like, sometimes I'll give myself passes, especially when I'm uncomfortable. And one of the things that I've recently started to kind of alter a little bit in my life is, like, actually, when I'm uncomfortable, like, I give myself time to, like, actually sit in whatever's uncomfortable. If I'm uncomfortable by something, I try looking directly at that thing. There's this, like,
is that why you're looking directly?
No.
Anthony's like super intense.
Yeah, I'm like
now.
Looking right at. I'm like, if I'm uncomfortable, I'm like really giving you my left eyeball. But yeah, that phone call comes in on my phone. If I have like some resistance inside of me, I'm like, no, Anthony, like, you need to pick up that phone call.
Yeah.
Or you know what, there's something going on in that room. And the work too is engaging, like, okay, is this something that I'm uncomfortable with and I should stay away from, or is this actually something that I've just been fearful of and it's time to look at the thing and walk through the thing?
Absolutely.
Right. And Vedanta, they say we are changed not by what we walk away from, but what we walk toward, right? What we look at. And so that's the thing that I've been working on recently. And that's been difficult.
We have a comment.
We have a comment coming in. Anka writes, do you want to take that one?
Hi, Anka. It was a revelation to me as I was writing out my 4th step how fear-driven I was. I now make it a point not to let fear hold me back or make decisions based on fear. Absolutely.
Very good. Very nice. Isaac.
Hello.
Balenciaga.
Yes.
Thank you for the hello, Isaac.
Yes, thank you. And thank you, Anka, for sharing that. It's like...
Fear. Well, were you going to say something about fear?
No. I mean, I want to hear from you.
Oh, you do?
I do.
I've been thinking. I've been doing a lot of thinking. You know what? Actually, I called my sponsor the other day and I was like, I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about this. I'm thinking about this. And my sponsor goes, Anthony, sounds like you're doing too much thinking. And it's crazy. You know that guy, Eckhart Tolle? I think that's how you say his name.
Yeah,
but one of the things he said, there was this like really awesome talk where he talks about how people think that they're not self-centered when they're depressed. Right? Like, oh, I'm so sad. I need to look at it. And he was talking about how self-centered it is to be depressed because it's like me, like, oh my world. And so, yes, in line with that is like when my sponsor was saying, Anthony, it sounds like you're just doing a lot of thinking. And, part of like my work outside of this is like, I am in my head a lot for my work. And so I need to like get in my body, and like different ways to get in my body is like I'm working out, or I like to be present with other people, etc. I don't know how I got on that, but that's where I am.
No, it's a good place to be.
You're a good place to be.
We have another comment. Thanks for the comments.
Ginger says hello. Hey, Ginger.
Hi, Ginger.
That's a great picture,
Thank
Ginger.
you for listening. Jaylon.
Another comment. Jaylon writes, I think the hardest part about change is, as you mentioned, inevitably it happens with or without you, but also having to watch the people you love stay the same and not change the pace you are. Also having those same people struggle with you, with your evolution as a sober person, pressures of being the cycle breaker. Ooh, that's deep.
And
that is so deep.
Another part of it, or extension of that, Jaylon, is like when you get sober and you do the work and you start to change, and then you have folks who saw you from before and they don't believe that you've changed, or they're not that excited about your change or on board as it, because they don't believe that it's real.
And sometimes it's intimidating.
It's intimidating. Exactly. I mean, it took me a while before, because I remember I used to. I used to have to catch myself because I was always wanting to kind of fix things and make everything better based on how I think. I was on my, we go through that period where I was on my high horse of recovery, and I needed to kind of get to a place where I was like, you know what, hon, if someone asks me, I am going to offer, but I don't need to bring it unless somebody said bring it.
I want to comment on the cycle breaker thing. That's another thing I've been thinking about is that I have old habits that I've kept from, either because of the way I was raised, and that cycle breaking thing, like changing that has been very difficult. Right. It's like, so one of the thoughts that sometimes jumps into my brain is like, oh, the world is against you. You know what I mean? Or this person's plotting, right? It'll just happen, right? Like I can't necessarily control what I think and feel. And so sometimes those things will come into my brain, right? And my reaction is like, oh, well, I need to change, or I need to alter this thing around me in order to make sure that this thing that I'm afraid of can't attack me. And sometimes, actually all the time, the hardest thing to change in that moment is to not do anything.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like that one person looks at you crooked.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh my God. It's like I love when they say doing nothing sometimes is radical. And here's another plug for the Castro Country Club. Early recovery, there was a lot of time where there was nothing I could do. I did everything I was supposed to do, and the best thing I could do was just to sit back. And so I was able to spend a lot of time here kind of just learning how to be with other people. And yeah, so here's a plug for doing nothing. I like that.
Doing nothing,
yeah.
The other thing that I recently, not recently, but something that I've learned to accept is that just because I'm sober, or just because I'm living a good life, or just doesn't mean that I'm not going to have anxiety, or I'm not going to occasionally be sad, right? And that I think the difference now in my life is how I hold those experiences.
Absolutely. That's a change we're talking in. And so in every life, some rain's got to fall. But it's
some what's got to fall?
Some rain.
Rain.
In every life, some rain has to fall.
Right.
And I think that it is the change, or the difference for me, like I was talking at the beginning, is how I look at it. Like, instead of thinking, oh, woe is me, I'm never going to come out of this. This is just what I'm going through. It is what I used to do, very practically, as I say, I used to practice gratitude for having emotions. Mm-hmm. For feeling something, because before I used to shut them down. I'm not doing this, and so I could rely on drugs or alcohol to numb me out until they didn't work anymore. Yeah,
I appreciate that. thinking about thinking. Did I ever tell you thinking about thinking? Did I ever tell you my story about like being in the air? I was like going through a breakup and I was in an airplane. I tell you about this.
Which breakup?
Man, don't start. Don't start.
Okay, sorry.
Gosh, that's so. That shit threw me off. We have 5 minutes left for us to be on air, but for those of you who may not know, we continue on for 15 minutes after we go off air, and that content goes directly to our podcast. So that's an incentive.
And sometime next year, you'll be able to hear.
Oh shit, Brandon! You catch that? That's a comment on Brandon's.
No, Brandon's doing what he needs to do, but it's taking time.
He pulls your plug.
I know. It's taking time for past episodes. All of a sudden, you can't hear me.
Yeah, and now I totally forgot what I was going to say. What were we talking about?
I don't know.
Change. Isaac, I really want to become sober and maybe go to a meeting. Definitely anxious about it all. I hear you, Isaac.
Yeah.
I think that's certainly something that I can relate to. I remember when I first came in, I number one, did not want to be there. Mm-mm. I wanted to be sober. I know I didn't want to be in a lot of pain, and I definitely had a lot of anxiety. I'm really grateful that people were really warm and inviting to me. And the only thing that I had to do was to tell the truth. And the truth was that I was uncomfortable and that I wanted to get sober. That was the only thing. Those were the only things that people needed to know about me. So thank you for that comment,
Isaac. If 12-step is the path that you're taking, it's like you show up in any way that you can, even if you are not sober. It's like sometimes it's the best place to be. That's to me the way to start. Just work up the courage and go.
Yeah, one of the things, Isaac, my last comment is about your comment. So again, thank you for that. Is like, I think one of the biggest things that changed for me from trying to get sober to where I am now is that I realized that I actually had a life worth living. And I didn't realize that because when I was drinking and using, and even before then, I didn't want to be alive. You know what I mean? Like my best days were the days where I thought maybe I won't wake up tomorrow. Right. And so now I'm at a place in my life where actually I look forward to every day. And even in those days where I'm really uncomfortable, I'm still happy to like have the feelings and the thoughts that I have because I have community, etc.
Oh, that's beautiful.
You're beautiful.
No, you are.
Oh,
I love that.
So, are we landing the plane?
Yeah, we're landing the plane.
I still don't remember what I was going to say.
Please fasten your seatbelts for
for takeoff. That's the opposite of what we're doing.
You fasten your seatbelts. We're going to be making our descent.
Okay.
The Castro Country Club is a safe and sober community center for all people and a refuge for the LGBTQ recovery community.
We provide programs and services that help people change their lives by supporting personal growth.
Our vision is to reduce the suffering of addiction by connecting people to community, opportunity, and support.
You can find more information, including all the ways to contact us at www.castrocountryclub.org/podcast.
And tune in every Tuesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, 4 p.m.-ish. When we go live on our Castro Country Club Facebook and YouTube channels.
Find us wherever you listen to podcasts.
That was smooth.
You're smooth.
No, you're smooth.
I'm actually smooth.
You are.
I'm like a dolphin.
I was gonna make that. Right.
Brandon was gonna hit a button. Are we going off air and gonna keep talking?
And quick shout out to Bonnie Violet. We miss you.
Oh, Bonnie Violet, we miss you.
Yes.
We were talking about you before the camera started rolling.
Yeah, it's probably good that it didn't come. We didn't put it on camera.
Probably. Anyway, we love you. Come in. We love Bonnie Violet, yes, and we love our listeners. So tune in again next week, 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And if you can't catch us live, definitely listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts.
Ding that bell.
Ding ding ding.
Ding 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 ding
ding ding ding ding ding ding ding ding. All right, and we're still on.
That's cool.
That was cool. You're cool.
No, you know what? Right on.
How was that for you?
It was good. It's like I think we naturally like have this chemistry, so it works out.
We have a really good chemistry.
Yeah. I think
we should just talk about how much we like each other for the next 15 minutes.
Because I love you. I love you.
Oh, I keep looking down here. Can I close this, Brandon?
Yeah, you can close that.
All right, so now we can just chat.
Now we can just chat. Yeah.
It was nice to have. How was that for you, Steven?
I know, Steven.
Is that really nice?
Perfect.
You're perfect.
Yeah, thank you. Yeah, we have two wonderful people in the studio with us who, when I came, that things were already set up and looking pretty.
Yeah, they were helping us.
I know.
That was really
amazing.
nice. Yeah, a big thank you to both of you.
Yes, exactly.
Thank you for being.
Yeah.
You know, how do you like having people in the studio?
I like it. I mean, it's like
maybe we should have more people.
I think that it's great inviting people. I mean, I really feel like so it changes our energy. It changes
Does it?
Because like I think there, you know, in the beginning, like when Bonnie and I were doing this, it's like if we're not careful, we can easily. Or are you trying to push this up?
I guess. I was trying to get you to be closer to the mic. I really feel like
you might need to turn your mic up or something. It's like, can we? Okay, yeah. I'm not going to go there.
Go.
No, but what I'm saying is like sometimes you, without knowing, it's like you can draw a blank, and we can have moments where there's dead space, and I like to look over and see reactions.
Is that what you're doing?
Yeah, I pay attention to everything.
Oh, I wasn't. I was trying not to think about you guys.
I look at Brandon. I look at Brandon. I look at everything. I'm like,
I think, you know what? I am not a performer, but I imagine that's what happens with people when they have an audience. Like they can get energy from the audience,
absolutely.
And that'll change the performance.
It's a world of difference. Like we went to see last week. We went to see when I got back from Hawaii. When I got back from Hawaii, we went to see Six, and the musical, and the audience was amazing. And I really feel like when an audience is entertained and in it and feeling it, you can hear me.
No, you cannot. You're so far away from the mic, Louis.
Wow. So I've been doing this how long, and all of a sudden now you can't hear me?
Because I go back and I listen to, oh shit. Maybe it's Brandon. No. It's not even Brandon, because the thing is that I go and I'll listen to our episodes and I'm like, man, Louis sounds so fucking low.
This is what I'm going to start doing. I'm going to start doing this.
Doing that. Wait, hold on. Brandon, now it's really loud in my ears. Is there a way to make Louis's mic more sensitive? No? I don't know. Is it because you've not listened to yourself? And it's not all the time.
Okay, it's not all the time.
You know what? It's none of my business.
No, but apparently it is your business.
It's Brandon's business.
You made it your business.
Brandon could have easily.
Don't try to back down now. It's like we're gonna make this okay because I don't want you to lose any sleep at night. Over
about what? Oh, because you cannot. I just want people to hear your great ideas.
Oh my God! It's like
that's what it is. I just need people to hear.
You're full of shit as a Christmas turkey. Okay.
That was a lot of fun. Maybe we should open it up to other people.
We are,
because right now we've been experimenting. We just like VIP.
And I reached out to Jose. I like the idea of us doing a live broadcast at Living Sober.
Oh, right. Yeah, we've been
having it set up like a workshop. And having us talk about a topic, or whatever, and kind of go from there.
Yeah, we can even have like a mic in the audience.
We did talk about that before, having guests and whatever. We don't even need to have a mic in the audience. It's like you can have somebody just collecting questions and have us answer questions like that.
Yeah, we should.
There's so many different ways to do it.
It's something to workshop. Yeah. I think it's something to workshop.
Something definitely to workshop.
Why do you keep your phone lit? Like, why do you have it on never go to sleep? That makes me nervous. You know, the other thing that I've started doing is I read somewhere, because this is how
you can't see my face right now. I'm like, why? Maybe.
Why am I in your phone?
Wait, where'd you get this? Because I think I should get one of those.
The privacy screen?
If I get a privacy screen, then I don't have to worry about you worrying about my phone.
Can I tell you something?
Get out my business.
No one's trying to be in your business. Can I tell you a paranoia I have? And this happened recently. I don't mean to give you my back.
No, that's okay.
But if I'm dating someone, or just in general, if I'm around someone, I don't like to be able to see their screen. I don't want to see the screen, right?
Why not?
Because I just know my brain, and this is the reason why I'm not on social media. This is I try to limit the things that go into my brain. So I was hanging out with this guy that I've been talking to. Oh, this shit's going live. Well, here we are. So, and then we were talking or whatever, and I'm telling you, I hate being around people's phones, because if I see something, I'm going to have questions, and so then I don't want to have questions. And sure enough, we were laying in his bed and we were talking or whatever, and he was scrolling, and then a guy's fucking picture popped up on his phone, and I'm like, see, this is why I don't fucking look at people's phones, because I get so who's that guy? Why is that guy on your phone? Blah 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 blah. I
don't get jealous like that. I don't have issues with trust.
Oh, well, listen, like Brandon, stop it. Brandon's nodding his head. Listen. Jealousy is certainly something I'm working on.
No, exactly. And it's good that you're becoming aware.
Okay,
of that.
But also, is it jealousy? Or is it like self-respect?
Well, okay, so if a picture comes up because the person's scrolling through Facebook,
Okay.
then they're not.
It wasn't
responsible
Facebook.
for-
It wasn't Facebook. It was, we were on there. We were like sitting like this, right? We were like laying back. And then you know how pictures like will drop in like a notification. And I was like, and that's how I came in. And I'm like, I don't want to know that.
Was it a picture, a naked picture?
It wasn't, but it was like a thirst trappy picture. Do you know what I mean? And then I can tell that he was feeling some type of way about it because suddenly he started to get anxious. He dropped his phone and then he turned to me and tried to change the subject. And I was like, oh man, like this
let me ask you something.
20 times worse.
You said initially that you guys were talking. Are you in a relationship right now?
No.
Okay, so have you made it clear that what you guys are doing is exclusive?
Okay.
No, because I'm looking I'm looking at all the variables because they need to be addressed. They need to be addressed because
this is the thing. I don't care. No, listen, I understand those particulars. Like I understand we're just dating right now. We're not exclusive. Like obviously we might be talking to other people. I get all of that.
You would hate me because
I get all of that.
Pornhub pops up.
I see it all the time. It's on your home screen. It's on your home screen. He literally has 2 Pornhub favorites on his home screen. I shouldn't be able to see that.
Well, you can't see it now because like I took it off. But you know what am I?
You did. I saw it. It's on his Google page. It's on his Google page. And
because it's my go-to.
Let me tell you, this is certainly something that this is when I talk about like the thing in my life that gives me the most trouble or anxiety, it's like romantic stuff, like dating, love, like all that. Like sex is easy. Although even that started to get complicated for me, but like that is the one part of my life that is just so fraught and complicated.
Well, I for one, I'm going to try to be a little more mindful because if I can't, I'm going to look for that screen first because that might make the world a difference.
I'll get you one.
Yeah, because I'm not, I don't want to make light of.
No, but you know what? I also, this is interesting because I don't want you to do that.
Sure?
Because I think the thing here that needs to change is me. Like,
wow,
I should not.
We go all the way around the block or whatever and come right back to our topic. I love this.
It's me. No, honestly, because it's what's that thing we say? Like we're either making an amends or we're forgiving people. There's nothing in between, right? Okay. And it's like, what's my issue here? Like, why do I need you to change your behavior for me to change how I feel about myself, et cetera?
Yeah,
right. Like
exactly
that's for me.
What we're talking about. It's like the only thing that you have to change is everything. It's like This is something that is inevitable that you are not going to be able to avoid because it's everywhere.
I know, and it's like I'm 38, and
Wait,
the reason why
38?
I'm 38.
You look amazing.
Thanks.
Oh my God. Okay.
Thanks.
No,
God was like, you're going to be raised poor and with violence. We'll give you youth. But I was like, what was I thinking? See, you fucking threw me off again. Okay, but what I was thinking. So like, okay, dating, right? I don't even like right now I've been dating this guy and I'm like, what am I doing? Because he's great. He's fantastic. But for me, it's like, it's so like, I need to accept that people are going to have a history, right? I used to, my theory on this is like, I don't treat guys, but this is the way I think about dating or like people in general. It's like hotel rooms. Other people have slept there.
What?
Right?
What?
But you don't want to show up to your hotel room with the sheets still folded over, knowing someone was there. You know what I mean? Like
you should get a UV light.
I'm like, what? Who's been here? But but that's the thing. Like, I need to start to accept that. And I really hope
that guy's not listening because it's like the way you just.
No, he's fantastic. I said he's fantastic.
Everybody I'm dating like
he's
fantastic.
Like a hotel room. No. That's not what I meant.
This is where I go to do my dirt.
That's not what I meant. That's not what I meant. But like for me, like I think about you're such an instigator. But I was just like. It's like I don't know what it is, but I need to get over it. It's like one of the things I struggle with is like polyamory and like open relationships. And okay, that's neither here nor there. I have my opinions. I've had my experiences with all of it. And I wonder, okay. So I wonder okay, if I'm in a relationship and this relationship is open and shit starts to boil up, right? There are a bunch of different books on open relationships and jealousy, right?
Yeah.
But I think about, okay, I only have so much time on earth. Do I really want to spend X amount of my time on earth struggling with feelings that I don't necessarily have to struggle with, right?
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I know exactly.
So there's that. Then I also think about like, what am I really foregoing if I am not having sex with everyone and I'm in a monogamous relationship? What am I really foregoing? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, but those things are complicated for me because I've certainly been in situations where I feel inspired to be monogamous, and then I'm like, well, actually, I want to have sex with other people, but it's like, should I have sex with other people? And I get really frustrated. I don't know how we got here, but we're here.
I know,
but I get really.
It always goes.
It always comes out. But I get so frustrated with people like, but it's like, it's like such a gray area, and it's whatever works for you, and I'm like, that's like not a satisfactory.
Well, of course, it's not satisfactory. What do you want? You want somebody to tell you what to do?
I just think that in some cases there is a right and wrong.
Well, yeah, the right thing to do is to do what works for you.
Ooh, that was ninja qual. But see, that's the thing is like, I don't know. There was a part of me, and maybe I'll still do this, right? Where I was curious about what really is the relationship satisfaction of people who are in open relationships or in polyamorous relationships. Like, what is the relationship satisfaction?
I feel like, okay, so this is just my opinion. It may be completely wrong.
Yeah.
I totally get it when you've been in a relationship with somebody for a really long time and you understand each other.
Yeah.
And you understand each other, and maybe it's because like someone in the relationship is no longer as sexual or as they like to be, and they're more interested in you getting what you need. I don't understand. I'm like you. I don't understand if we start dating tomorrow and we decide that it's an open relationship the first. I think that is lazy. That's just my take. I think it's lazy because it requires no work, no effort for us to get to know one another and what will keep each other like happy and all that good stuff. Like I don't get that. I don't get that. But like I said, I understand it if it's been a while. I, for one, am not. I think I'm a monogamous person, but I am not interested in being monogamous now. That's why I'm single.
Right.
So I get to do everything. Yeah. I don't have to worry about polyamorous and all that good stuff. It's like the only thing I have to worry about is like if you're being honest with me when you say, because I'm not hooking up with you and your partner. I don't do couples.
Yeah. I don't do couples. I don't do humans.
No. I'm just saying it's like I don't want to wade into a pool of drama.
Yeah. And you know what this kind of, and I take myself back there, and it's none of my fucking business what other people do.
Well, I was thinking that earlier.
You know what I mean? It's like
I was thinking
it's none of my, no, you know what? But it isn't any of my business, but I'm wondering like, why do I struggle with this so much?
Because of your discomfort with, like, I still think that maybe you don't know what you want.
What do you mean?
Okay, so
how did this just become an intervention?
No, because, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but it's like,
let's hear it.
Where like you're saying, it's like sometimes you feel like monogamy, but the other times you want, and you're not there yet. You're not at a place where you've accepted, like, I just want to be free, or I just want to be in a relationship with one person and all that. You know what I'm saying?
You know what I think it is that,
And when you're not comfortable with that, of course, seeing how other people function and operate can kind of make you uncomfortable.
Yeah. Well,
That's okay.
No, I mean, I'm still digesting what you're saying. I've been thinking about like a lot of thinking. The last few months. But it's kind of like, it's like, what is it that, like, what are the things
it's like
that
a brush fire.
Fuck, man. Like, it does feel like a brush fire. Where it's like, I like, when I find myself attracted to someone, I'm like, what am I attracted to here? Like, am I attracted to some unhealthy dynamic? Like, is this person actually good for me? And, the more I talk about it, it's like, actually, this is just kind of like my being controlling showing up in these like other ways. Right. And I was talking about that with my therapist and my sponsor, is that's one of the things that I realized that that's the most sneaky for me, is like when I'm trying to control all of these different things. And one of the things that I think I'm trying to control is like my reaction to certain situations. And, so I'm just going to feel the way I feel. And maybe that's just what it looks like for the moment, and I'll handle whatever that
absolutely
is when it
honor
comes
it.
up.
Stop judging. I think
maybe that's it. Maybe I'm being judgy.
Yeah, stop judging what
you think
you're
that's
feeling.
What I'm doing?
No, I hear that a lot of time people are like, "Oh, this and that." No, just stop judging. Just kind of let it be, because it's gonna play out. It's gonna play out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah, it always does. Brandon just put up the number 2, meaning that we just have 2 more minutes.
Oh, wow.
Because we agreed that we would cut off our conversation after 15 minutes.
Absolutely.
So do you have any lingering thoughts?
I don't. And I'm not thinking about anything. My mind is completely blank.
You're like a styrofoam cup.
Exactly.
So for those who stood with us for the extra 15 minutes, if you're just listening to us on the podcast and you didn't see us live, thank you.
Thank you.
If you did listen to us live and you're listening to the podcast, thank you. And if you're just meeting us for the first time, thank you. And to all of you, keep coming back. We'll see you again next week.
Thank you.
Bye. I'm waving at the camera and it's not even on.
She's pretty.